You want to pour gasoline on a 30-foot section of a planter box and light it and see
lighter.
what happens? Someone with ADHD, on average, by the time they're 10, hears 20,000 more negative messaging from society and people than the average kid. What's your favorite part of ADHD?
The spontaneity, willingness to get into new projects and ideas.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Vibe with Humanity podcast, a platform for everyday people to share their incredible stories. We're here today with Dave Ryan, a longtime friend of mine, and I know a good amount of his story. He's conquered a lot of adversity with a ridiculously, almost offensive positive attitude, which is very hard to do. He's a business owner, husband, father, very loyal friend, and just a good logical thinker. So I'm really excited to let his brain kind of open up today and see where things go.
Yeah, so Trevor and I, we grew up from about 6 to, what was it? Junior high, basically, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were in trouble a lot. Trevor and I were one of those teams where they tried to separate us because we were always, hey, Trev, you want to do this bad idea? Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. And so...
Do you want to pour gasoline on a 30-foot section of a planter box and light it and see
lighter.
what happens?
Oh my God.
You want to go to the park with a switchblade, a bow and arrow, a BB gun, a blowtorch? Just see where it goes?
I remember my dad came home once and we were shooting bows and arrows into the garage wall. Just because, Mm-hmm. And he walks, I think he comes in and he looks at it and he goes, just, Trevor, go home. David, get inside. My entire school career, it just didn't go well. I'm not studious. My ADHD really made school difficult.
School's rough for people like us that have brains that work like ours because it's really hard to question your intelligence because you can't learn like other people. And you're like, but how do I have ideas that are awesome and I can build things and I can see different avenues to make things better that other people don't, but I can't fucking do 2 + 2. I cannot sit in this chair and do 2 + 2 = 4. I can watch it on the board. That's great. Now let's do it 10 minutes later on your, that's a really tough part of ADHD.
Yeah. And that's been the biggest part of my entire life that's held me back, and it's also been an incredible gift in its own ways. But sitting in a classroom trying to focus on something longer than a couple minutes is impossible. All of my notebooks, start with like half a page of great notes, and then it's doodles.
Yeah. And even outside the classroom, like focusing on anything that you don't care about, it's just not going to happen. It's just not.
While we're talking right now, I have another dialogue in my back going, back of my mind, going, stay focused, keep on point, don't just start derailing the conversation onto a whole bunch of other things, all right.
What's your favorite part of ADHD, or at least parts that you really like?
The spontaneity, the willingness to get into new projects and ideas. The follow through may not be there, but I'm always up to experiencing something new, even for a short term, so I can, learn. Okay, I got a taste of that. Okay, I got a taste of that. I can see, how things work, and I attribute that a lot to my ADHD, and from what I've learned is people with ADHD have a hard time fitting into the general structure of how our society is run. Schooling, 9 to 5, even extracurricular activities, like all of those structured events, it's really hard for someone to follow through for a number of different reasons. But it also leads you to having to take responsibility and manage your own life in order to navigate all that, because someone has a decent head on their shoulders knows they got to do something, to have a comfortable living. And so a lot of us end up, owning our own businesses and running our own businesses because, now we're only accountable to ourselves instead of, someone else.
It's rough socially too. I think that's probably the hardest, or at least that's what the hardest part for me was. You get invited to someone's house, never again. Someone's hurt, something's broken. I didn't want to. I'm not a bad dude. I just can't control my actions. You get invited to a party, nobody can relate to you. You're kind of by yourself. Throw birthday parties, nobody shows up. It's really rough socially. Did you go through any of that, or did you got into the arts, and I think it kind of looked like you found a little bit of your vibe with people through the arts.
So I was able to navigate, yeah, from sixth grade all the way through, I would say, as I was getting into high school, I had very few friends. Like I just wasn't liked. It was hard for me to connect like how other people did. Like they always had these things and I was just kind of always an outsider. And I didn't back then, ADHD like really wasn't a thing in my household. It wasn't talked about.
Or in society.
Yeah.
It just looked like bad parenting or bad decisions on the person. It doesn't,
And I remember when it came out, they were just like, everybody has ADHD. And so, they were just prescribing, pills to everybody. And my household didn't believe in that. They were just like, that's not a real thing. And so I had to navigate, or I didn't do it very well, but yeah, that stopped a lot of relationships for me. I had very few friends. You and I were great friends, but you have ADHD and so do I. And so
we didn't judge each other.
Yeah.
We just got to be ourselves.
Got to be ourselves.
Someone with ADHD on average, by the time they're 10, hears 20,000 more negative messaging from society and people than the average kid. That wears on you, man. Eventually you just own it. Like, all right, I'm bad. Like, let's do the bad fun stuff then. I mean, oops, I got in trouble.
Keep saying that, might as well live it.
Might as well. And nowadays, after weed got legal, when you can tell someone really has it, 90% of them, I smoke weed. Of course. Bring it down a little bit, guys. Just turn the volume from 20 to 2, just for a couple hours.
Yeah, and I finally went to a doctor in my early 30s now. Got medicated.
It that long? You did that long without med? What was that like? That must have been life-changing. Wait a minute, I can think in a linear pattern and slow like other people?
I wish I would have discovered that path sooner. Because it changed my life. I had already started a business, had a household, had a kid, and it was just grinding. But I was a mess doing it. It's like, I knew I was smart enough to do it. I knew I was capable enough to do it, but the amount of effort that it took to try and make all of this happen, fighting your own disabilities, it led me to, breaking down emotionally. I'd be driving in my car, all of a sudden I'd just be crying and sobbing, going, God, I'm a full grown man, like doing like, what the hell is going on with me? Be, happening on job sites, where I'm in the field working and things like that. I called you, once because,
I remember that call.
Yeah. I was in a bad spot and I remember call over and over to the doctor, just going, there's something wrong with my brain. Like, I don't know what's happening, but something bad is going to happen. I'm going to have some kind of break. And after like 3, 4, 5 phone calls, they're like, okay, well, you can come in. And they put me through. And the second I started doing the test, they put me to this, psychologist, then this counselor, then this psychologist. And then finally I got some great, neuroscience doctor who really dove into my case. And she's like, well, you have this from this section of your life and this section. And like, it's a compound thing. And get on this before you get on Adderall, which was like, they gave me like a mood stabilizer first. They really vetted out what was going on with me and the underlying issues and navigated, the ADHD on top of those things.
What were the biggest areas you saw that impact your life? Because it's pretty damn quick. When you get on the right med for ADHD, if you've got it, it's like almost overnight. Everything looks different. Everything feels different. Things get easier. Where did you notice that?
Well, I first started off with a mood stabilizer because I was starting to get incredibly agitated and angry like that,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I had to conquer suppressing that first before I got to introduce the ADHD meds. And then as soon as I was able to do that, I, was able to approach all of my tasks in a way where I could get to the finish line a lot quicker. It was my dedication to something was there. If I wanted to send out, a big bid and proposal for my work, sometimes I would start it on Monday and then maybe by the next week I would have it done. But now I'd have it done, the next day.
You think that helped you grow your business to where it is? Had to have, right?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Without being properly medicated, I don't think I could have gotten to where I am and to where it's going. It's non-negotiable for me to be on my medication.
But like when I go to your house and I see your daughters and stuff, they really are able and encouraged to be themselves. I can
Mm-hmm.
tell that they are themselves at home
Mm-hmm.
and they have freedom to express themselves. And I think that's awesome. How do you balance that with like providing structure and discipline? Where is the line? Because you had one way, like intense structure and discipline, and there's benefit in that. And then the other side is like no supervision. How do you find the balance there?
Well, I got a wife.
Kind of enough said, right?
Without my wife, my kids would fail. And I wholeheartedly believe that. Sarah is the complete opposite personality that I have. And so we come together in the middle a lot of the time. And, she's great and gets their homework done with them. She's very structured. My kids are very intelligent, they get straight A's. And I attribute that to Sarah's worth ethics and how she transferred that, to the kids, their study abilities and all of that.
One thing that's really cool about you and another thing about your parenting is if it's playtime with the kids and you are in their world, I mean, you're going to do it. We're going to do cardboard boxes and houses and creative games. And that is, because there is a lot of creativity with the ADHD. There seems to be some connection where ideas can just flow to us easier. So to watch you do that and create magical environments for your kids is fucking awesome.
You can truly be engaged in what you're doing, which is really cool. You can really see.
AKA hyper-focus.
The hyper-focus, yeah.
If you had to pick your personal philosophy on parenting, what do you think is one of the most important things for you? For your kids, I mean.
Showing up.
What do you mean?
I'm going to couple this real quick with another thing that I heard once. And it was, when you're 70 and you look back on it, on any situation, what do you wish you would have done looking back on it? And so if you're tired and sitting there, your kid comes up, it's 8:00 at night, it's bedtime in 30 minutes, and they go, "Hey, play soccer with me outside in the cul-de-sac." I go, "Fuck, I've been working all day, I'm tired." When I'm 70 and I look back at that, am I going to, well, I said I was tired and I want to sit in my chair. Or did I go outside even though I was tired and I kicked the ball around with my daughter and like we, played a game of soccer together and laughed or however that would go down. And so that was really impactful to me. And I try to remember that in a lot of the situations. And so when they say, "Will you play soccer with me?" Right before bedtime, that's showing up. That's the stuff where, they come in and they usually like, if you're tired or whatever, they're realizing they are too after 5 minutes, but you went out there, they were like, "Hey, Dad got up and engaged with me." What was important to me as a 10-year-old, I got to have that with, one of my parents, or both of them.
Yeah. It's hard, especially with like minds like we have. I mean, I can speak for myself. I'm fucking moody. I can wake up on some days and I'm like, okay, this is not a public contact day.
Right.
This is a text or an email only day. And so it can be hard when you have all this growth and you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm turning a new page, and then you have a bad interaction in public where you were rude. And I always go back and apologize. I really do. But you're good.
It's been bothering me.
But that part, that's a tough part of ADHD as well, is you're just like, okay, there's probably a couple days this month where I'm going to wake up and it's just red alert.
Yeah.
And that seems to be human nature too, but it does seem to be amplified with ADHD. So
that's one of the things too, I think with ADHD that's not really talked about is I can wake up and like my wife knows this, where I can be like, my chemicals are off today.
yep.
I can feel that my brain isn't working the way it should, and my ADHD is going to be very bad today. So acknowledge that I've said that, and I will do my best to combat that.
Yeah, it's not a warning. It's not a, I want to get my way. This is a reality.
Yeah.
So please do not dig into
Oh, it's a
anything.
warning.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of freedom for spouses living with people with ADHD. It's not that we don't care. Like we are not skipping out on shit. We just don't remember, or we can't get ourselves to do it. It's everything's lost, everything's messy, and not really our fault. And we try
Everything
really
is
hard,
messy.
and it's not fun.
No, because you're your own worst critic. And so when you see that something's important to you and that you haven't followed through on doing it or didn't remember, and now it's causing other people discomfort in their life, and though you don't want that, you get down on yourself a lot for it. You know, God, like, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I do that? I should have done that. Now they're mad. You know, now, you know, they're let down. You know, I didn't show up on time and I really wanted to. And so you beat yourself up a lot on it. And then, you know, having family and, you know, a wife who's able to tolerate that is a gift, you know, because I can't imagine being on the other end, and I wouldn't want to live with me. I'd like to go out and do things with me. I wouldn't want to.
In doses when I'm in the right mood.
Yeah.
That's how I would do myself.
Oh my God.
Well, this was fun, man. I appreciate you coming on. I have a feeling this will be the first of many.
I hope so. This was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah. I was very excited about it. I had anxiety a couple of days before, going, oh my gosh, like I'm going to do this thing that I've never done before.
I'm figuring it out too. Shit. There's times where I'm like, hey, don't be a host. You're just having a conversation. The other one's like, oh, well, better ask good questions. And
it's nice to have a host because I don't feel like I have to be in control of all the topics. You know, you ask good leading questions, which is actually felt very comfortable going, okay, cool. Now I can go down this road. I don't have to be the one that's, you know, laid out a formula.
I want it to be comfortable. I want people to know I get vulnerable too. I share things that are on my heart. And I just want to talk to some cool ass people, hear from some interesting brains, and see where it goes.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that I shared that story of when I was having a real rough time, you know, crying in the car and, you know, on job sites and things like that, which is a fairly, you know, I feel very vulnerable, you know, telling that story to people and stuff. And but it felt natural, like I didn't have to hide from it, you know, and I shouldn't, you know, because, you know, staring at Vibe with Humanity right behind you, you know, kind of makes you want to be very authentic.
Everybody wants authenticity. I think that's what people are trying to find out. Who am I? What do I like? How do I be myself? Everyone else is like, how do I find people that are comfortable with themselves? And it just seems to be this subconscious dance of, and I don't think people realize that you can do that with people you don't know. You can do that with conversations. You can do that by truly taking interest in someone else. You can help them find their authentic self, or at least bring it out temporarily and let people see it. So it's literally my favorite thing to do in life. And I thought, let's put it on camera. See what the fuck happens. I appreciate it, man. Thanks. This was a blast.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I was happy to be here.